A lot of famous players swear by open-handed drumming. But in this video, I'm going to explain why I don't teach it and what I recommend to students instead. And at the end of this video, I've got a bonus for you. If you're new to Brad Allen drums, I'm a former U.S. Army drummer and now play professionally in the Kansas City area. Okay, first of all, what is open-handed drumming and how does it differ from the traditional way of playing the drum set? The traditional way of playing the drum set is like this. First of all, let's assume that you're playing right-handed. You're going to play your right hand on the ride cymbal, your left hand on the snare drum, and your right foot on the bass drum. So if I want to play a rock beat, it would be like this. Now if I want to play that same beat on the hi-hat, I simply cross this hand over my left and play this way. For open-handed drumming, you don't cross your hands. You play your left hand on the hi-hat. So to play the same beat open-handed, it would be like this. Hey, by the way, if you're enjoying these videos, please click those like and subscribe buttons. That really helps me to keep growing this channel. Thank you in advance. So why do some of the great drummers like Simon Phillips, Carter Buford, and Billy Cobham play open-handed? What are the advantages to playing open-handed? Well, first of all, because you don't have your hands crossed, it's easier to play a heavy backbeat. You can lift that right hand as high as you want. It also makes it easier to move the hand around the set that's not playing on the hi-hat. So there are some obvious advantages to open-handed playing, and when a lot of students see these great drummers playing that way, they assume that's the way they should play as well. I totally respect drummers who play open-handed, but here's why I focus on playing cross-handed in my teaching. Well, first of all, I think your most important goal on the drum set in the beginning is to be able to function in various types of bands. You want to be able to play in rock bands, funk bands, reggae, swing, anything. And it's much easier to learn to do that if you just have to learn each of those beats one way with one hand rather than learning them right-handed and then again left-handed. So that's the first thing. The second thing to understand is that biologically, in your brain, the right side of your body is connected. So it's much easier if I go to hit the ride cymbal along with my right foot because my right hand and right foot are playing at the same time. That's much easier than doing this, playing my left hand and right foot. That's simply much harder to do. And because that's the case, I believe that playing cross-handed is more natural than playing open-handed. The third point is that one of your goals should be to learn to improvise on the drums as quick as possible. The way you learn to improvise on any musical instrument is to put certain patterns into place and then you develop muscle memory. For instance, pianists use very specific scale fingerings. They practice these over and over until they're automatic. Then when they go to improvise on the piano, they don't have to think about what fingering they're using. Their ideas come out automatically because they've developed muscle memory. If they had several fingerings for each scale, then every time they went to play something, they'd have to think about what fingering they were going to use, and that would actually slow down their creative process. It would actually slow down their ability to improvise. It works the same way on the drum set. So if you set up specific patterns, certain ways of playing, they become automatic, and then when you hear something, you can automatically play it without having to think about it. If you have to think about it too much, again, that's going to slow down their creative process. It will make it harder to learn to improvise on the drums. So if I learn to play all my beats two ways, right-handed on the ride cymbal and left-handed on the hi-hat, at least in the beginning, it's going to take me longer to learn to improvise with each of those beats because I have to think about them a lot more. It's hard enough, for instance, to learn to play a really good samba one way, right-handed, let alone learning to play it two ways. The fourth point is not only is it harder to learn to groove two different ways on the drum set, it's harder to learn fills because you have to learn your sticking two different ways. For instance, when I teach beginning drummers, I teach the right hand lead method. Here's basically how it works. When you're playing a rock beat on the hi-hat or the ride cymbal, you're playing all those eighth notes with your right hand. When you go to play your fills, you're going to continue to play those eighth notes with your right hand and fill in between those eighth notes with your left hand, like this. That's very easy to do, but if you're playing open-handed and now you're playing all the eighth notes with your left hand, everything is reversed. So you basically have to practice all that separately. You have to learn two ways of playing all of your fills. This makes it much more difficult to get comfortable playing fills. Again, it's hard enough to do that one way, let alone two ways. A fifth point that I like to make is I don't really find having to cross my hands to play the hi-hat to be a problem anyway. Some drummers say that it feels awkward, it just doesn't feel natural, but honestly the only time my hands are crossed is when I'm actually playing that hi-hat. As soon as I go into my fills, my hands are uncrossed. Some will also say again that it's easier to play the toms if your hands are uncrossed when you're playing a beat. But again, I don't find that to really be a problem. I just cross my left hand under my right hand when I want to go around the set. Certainly not difficult enough to make me want to relearn all my beats and all my fills. And if this is a problem for you, getting around the set with that other hand, you can simply raise your hi-hat up a little bit so that you have more room underneath that stick, which is going to make it easier to move that left hand around. It's also going to make it easier when you want to play heavy backbeats. My final point is that most famous drummers played cross-handed. For instance, Buddy Rich, Tony Williams, Stuart Copeland, and many more all played cross-handed. These are some of the greatest drummers in the history of the instrument. It was the standard way of playing the instrument. Again, I'm not against open-handed playing altogether. I have nothing but respect for players like Simon Phillips, Carter Buford, or Billy Cobham who play that way. It is a viable option. But I do think that most students do benefit more by improving their cross-handed skills rather than switching hands and practicing open-handed. To me, cross-handed playing is more practical. But I'd love to hear what you think. Do you play open-handed? And what benefits have you found? Please comment below. Now for the bonus I mentioned earlier. As a thank you for watching today, I have 10 of my best drumming exercises for speed that I'd like to send you absolutely free. And these are the same type of exercises that helped my student Matthew Lam win a fastest hands drumming competition 2 years in a row. Just follow the link in the video or in the comments below to get a free copy. Be sure to subscribe to my channel for new drum videos every week. Thank you for watching, and I have another video about how to practice the drums efficiently and effectively in just 30 minutes a day that I know will also really help you. Please watch that next, and I'll see you next time.